All right, welcome to the Empowered to Have It All Monday morning Zoom. Cheers. Thanks, Malcolm, for last week, for sitting in and whoever else contributed, for while I was recovering from getting whatever it was I had. It hit me pretty good. I don't know that I've ever, from being sick, like a flu type thing, more than 24 48 hours, but that was probably a good 3.5 4 days. So just loaded myself up with all the isogenics goods and let my body recover and do its thing, let my immune system do its thing. Okay, but thank you, and for everybody else too, and just for the community that we have. We have an incredible community. You think about different communities that are out there in society. Look on social media, there's communities, there's people that, birds of a feather flock together and they talk about certain things. And I'm just so grateful for the things that we get to talk about and mastermind about and elaborate on and take to the next level. I really enjoy it. If I didn't, just think if we didn't have this community, if it was gone and isogenics was gone, that's what a blessing. It truly has been a heaven on earth because of the movement and what isogenics is. So with that, let's just jump right into this. There's a few things I want to go over. I had to restart my computer. My iPad wasn't connected. Let's see if I can get it to do it. Looks like it's going to work. Is it? I am plugged in. I know there was an update to. I might have to do it real quick because I want to show what's on my screen. It's not doing it. Try this real quick. All right, you guys, bear with me for a sec.
There must have been an update. I had to force quit Zoom. I was locked into Zoom and it wasn't working. So they must have had an update.
My iPad has told me the last couple of times that I plugged it in. I just been bypassing it, and eventually it says you can no longer pass go straight to jail.
Contact tracing.
Go to the spinning wheel of death.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's see if it'll work this time. Yeah, of course. All right. Whoops. Come on. Work. It's not.
Hey, Willie Morris.
Yes, sir.
How was the 48-hour marathon?
It was pretty intense. I just peeled myself out of my bed.
You still married?
Yeah.
That's the Olympics of marriage. One room, 40 hours.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, it was pretty cool. We're actually gonna do a little more of that for the summertime. So
yeah,
why not?
It changes everything when you just fill the hopper again, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
While Dave was working on that. Oh, sorry. While Dave was working on that, and I posted into the chat. Like it's just. There's so many more reasons today than yesterday. You know what I mean? Like when we first started, I should say, to ramp things up and to provide as much certainty as that we can provide to people today. Because there's so much more uncertainty like that's lurking around, and like Dave, I don't believe that it's bigger than ever. It's just, there's a lot more people. But it raises the bar. It raises the bar. Like it's a moral obligation, and so Yeah, we're up for it, man. And this week, this week's gonna be a little bit longer. We're gonna bring our kids over to our my sister-in-law's house probably Wednesday night. So it's gonna be, I don't know, what's that? 24, 48, I don't know, 4 days, whatever that is. So check in with me on next Monday to see if I'm still married, Malcolm. No, luckily for me, my wife is, she's in for the whole ride. She loves it. She, if I'm slacking off, she's on it. So yeah, it was a good week.
Well, it's like a workout partner,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good example.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. You just go way farther than you would on your own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, thanks, you guys.
Yeah,
Got
Dave.
it. I hate it.
When you were talking about these
Okay. Can you
updates,
guys see the screen?
yeah. We so many updates, right? It's funny. It just made me think about, I don't know what year it was. Maybe one of you guys can remember. But you remember on TV when we got that notice, if we didn't we had to switch to, what was it? HD TV, was it? HD? There was something like you either had to switch or you no longer were going to have access to TV. But now with Zoom, they're doing updates every day. It's like every day they're doing updates. It's incredible how fast things are moving these days.
Yeah, no kidding.
Got to keep up.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago. What was it, 2005 when the iPhone came out?
Right.
Android and iPhones and.
Amazing. Now they're literally computers. Yes.
And that Peter Greenlaw I sent you guys has all the clinical proof of what Dave's been telling us about the shake building the immune system.
Awesome.
That YouTube I sent you.
Yes.
Okay, guys, I'm going to jump into this now. So I know we're limited on time. Thanks for filling in the gap there. All right, so I read the last two Zooms we did in the morning that I was on. That I went over that chapter on Job, and the reason for doing that was to, I guess, multiple reasons for doing it, but one of them that's coming to mind right now is just the importance of life, and that life has true meaning, like very valuable, very profound meaning. And it's not just, we're not just here for this time and then we evaporate into nothingness. I absolutely know that that's not the case. So the more we can understand, the more I believe we can make of our lives, we can make of ourselves and of our lives. And those kinds of truths are very empowering and can be motivating in our lives. And I want to kind of sum it up by what he says in another chapter, Wisdom. It's the principle of the thing. And same book, The Wealth of Wisdom. But I just want to spend just a quick second here and then jump right into the Science of Getting Rich. So he says, wisdom is the quality of being able to judge sincerely and deal sagaciously with facts. So I had to look up that word last time he used it in another chapter. And knowing the meanings of words, I would get a dictionary on your phone because they make such a big difference, really knowing what words mean in the context of what it is you're trying to learn and advance your life in. So sagaciously, I even had to have the thing pronounce it for me. Sagacious. So having or showing acute mental discernment and keen practical sense. Being able to do that, you would have to have like an understanding of things to be able to deal with things sagaciously, to truly have an acute mental discernment and a keen practical sense. And so, readers are leaders. Those are one of the things I heard early on getting into isogenics, into this world of personal development. And readers are leaders, and then those leaders are readers, and readers are leaders. Readers become leaders of something, whatever it is that they're mastering and understanding, more so than the average person. So to try and glean as much as we can in the way of truth and understanding, and especially the more eternal, important truths, because you could be learning but never really come to, what he's going to say right here. Wisdom is the quality of being able to judge sincerely and deal sagaciously with facts, especially as they relate to life and conduct. So within that sentence right there, there's some important things already being pointed out. So, all right, how they relate to life and conduct. It is the capacity to make the best use of knowledge. We have people who go to the universities and get PhDs and they're blockheads. Sometimes they can't even wipe their own nose because of this whole idea of being learned, right? So there are certain areas of focus that we want to make sure that we're including in this pursuit of knowledge that would help us to get the best use of that knowledge as it pertains to life and conduct. And then also knowing that there was a before and there's going to be a hereafter. Wouldn't that be important to knowing in how that relates to your life and your conduct? Wouldn't those things matter? Absolutely. They would be of the most important. One of the things that came to mind this morning, I'm just going to throw it out there just as another little dynamic and see how it catches. I have not seen nor ear heard the amazing things that God has in store for those who love him, right? And how do you prove your love to somebody? By being obedient, basically, to them and minding them. Like, how do you show love to a parent? How does a child show love to a parent? Respect, obedience, right? Well, God's not asking us to become subject to him. He's asking us to become like him. So what is in store for those who truly have, this type of understanding? And then the best use of that understanding in their life and in their conduct. It involves the ability to make the best use of time and opportunity. So do you see how understanding some of those things that we talked about and read in the chapter on Job, how that could be applied right here? It involves the ability to make the best use of time and opportunity. It's the proper development of talent. It is the perception not only of the best ends. I really like this part when I read this. When we get the exposure to isogenics, we can see people living a certain lifestyle that's very appealing to the senses, right? And to the ideas that could be framed up into the mind. So, but he says right here, it is a perception not only of the best ends, but also the best means. We've always heard like the means to the end. So it's not just what is the best end that I can have in my life and how I can experience my life and take that whole pie of life. We live before, we live now, we live hereafter. Now is a time to enjoy the journey, to grow and to experience and to what Wallace Wattles talks about, live the best life, right? So I wrote right here, not only does isogenics provide the best, most secure end, I don't know a better end result from pursuing something than what isogenics has to offer. The way I live my life right now, it's not just a dream life, it's a fairy tale dream life. I literally at this point for years, have been able to do what I want, when I want, for as long as I want, and have the means to do it. It's a fairy tale dream come true life. So not only does isogenics provide the best, most secure end, but it also the best means to that end. I don't know a more 360 win-win-win for everybody. And affording at that same time, everybody the same opportunity on every single level. Could I do that as a realtor? No. Could I do that as a school teacher? No. Could I do that as just fill in the blank? Could I do it as, and whatever is out there in society and in the way of opportunities and careers and getting paid compensation, all of it, the whole ball, the whole pie. What is there? I don't even know anything that can hold a candle to isogenics, even in our own industry, when it comes to the whole pie, all of the dynamics, how everybody is affected, impacted. So here it's just so wonderful for me to be able to read. It involves the ability to make the best use of time and opportunity based on the knowledge that I have of who I am, where I came from, why I'm here, and where I'm going. It involves the ability to make the best use of time and opportunity. It is the proper development of talent. It is a perception not only of the best ends, but also the best means. It is the ability to use practical know-how. It adds excellence to our lives. And so we might adopt as a theme and a goal for our lives the statement of the wise man Solomon, who said, "Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom. And with all thy getting, get understanding." We should work on this project as though our life depended on it, as indeed it does. Okay, so some pretty important, serious stuff. The time, and one of my mentors said, if we truly understood how valuable each second of this life is, in all of that I just read right there from what all of that can mean, we wouldn't waste 1 second on folly, on frivolous things. So, all right, so now I'm going to digest that and just try and apply that into a practical application. It doesn't mean that I'm always a serious person, always with the studious mind. No, there's going to be time for enjoying. There's a season for everything, right? And it's learning how to balance that and then put it into the practical application. There was another point that he had said here that I think is maybe worth mentioning. Everyone has at least 2 personalities, the one he's born with and the one he acquires after he's born. So what have you acquired lately towards the improvement and progress of your personality? All right. All right, so taking those things into account, the things of Job and knowing where we came from, why we're here and where we're going, what is the purpose of all of this plan, this great plan of God's, the plan of happiness. What does that cause me to focus my time and energy on? And I keep seeing an audio or a YouTube pop up. It has Tony Robbins' picture, but I think it's a bunch of different mentors. It said something about being selfish. Like, it doesn't say being selfish, but like making sure that you're focusing on yourself. Focusing on yourself. So as we do that, as we do that means, what's that? How does all of that apply? Focusing on myself, because what I've really been doing for the last 15 years is focusing on myself. But I've been doing it in a way that the means and the end have grown. So when the deeper things that I can think on, the more I can make of my life. The more I can make of my life. And Tony, that whole YouTube focusing on yourself. It may sound selfish, but that all depends on what are you focusing on and how are you focusing on, why are you focusing on those things, right? So these truths and these getting understanding, this wisdom and all that get understanding, it's getting the best understanding. So that when I pick up a book like Wallace Wattles, I have this more balanced life that I can make something of and with. Does it make sense? So I just wrote a couple things here and then we'll jump into, I don't remember what I wrote here, so let's just read this real quick. You don't explain the means. Oh, okay, so when it comes to our isogenics business, you don't explain the means to the end. A lot of times we do that. Like, we see the importance and the awesomeness of that purpose-driven life in the means to the end with isogenics. But we don't make the mistake of explaining the means to the end. You focus and concentrate on solutions. Solutions for people is how you're going to build this vehicle. Yeah, you see the infrastructure, you see the internal, you see the foundation and that it's good, but you don't explain that to people. What you're going to do is you're going to go out and be entrepreneurial. You get paid for solving another person's problems. That's what an entrepreneur is. getting paid to solve another person's problems. So what we want to do is we want to learn and become excellent at focusing on and concentrating on solutions with an invitation for them to experience those solutions. Sometimes we get mixed up in this means to the end. We get mixed up in this right here and explaining and trying to help people see this when that's putting the cart before the horse. We internalize those things. So the means and the end are to be internalized by you to bring clarity, purpose, motivation, and to attract it, right? We internalize the means to the end. When we get beyond putting the product in our mouth, when Angela was given an invitation to try a product, she saw a solution. She saw people with energy and people whose attitudes were different and they were worth catching, right? She didn't see the inner workings of the means to the end. All of the stuff that we get involved in applying, the website, the compensation plan, getting to consultant, starting to create financial freedom through passive residual income and the principle of leverage. Those are the means to the end. What Angela was interested in the beginning, and it can evolve very quickly for some people, but the solutions, I've always made sure that I'm trying to find out and strive to help find out where are the pain points with the person. What are they looking for in their life in the way of solutions? I know I have them in one degree or another, in one way or another, in one dynamic or another, for every human being that's walking this planet. The people who do best in isogenics are the ones who are entrepreneurial. They're solving another person's problems for a profit. All right? So the means and the end are to be internalized by you to bring clarity, purpose, motivation, and to attract it, to pray and receive the blessing of the things you desire. Because you start to frame up within yourself, because you start to see the means to the end. You start to see some other ends when you get introduced to isogenics and you're now a part of the community. There's some other ends that start to appear. They start to materialize before you. You start to get to ideas and concepts and how that can be, your means to the end of what you're really wanting, because the job isn't doing it so much, right? Staying just over broke for 20, 30 years isn't working out. So we start to see and conceptualize these ideas of how isogenics can be the means to the end that we want. And then somehow we get excited about that, and then we start to try to get people to see the means to the end. And a lot of times it just doesn't work. Even somebody who wants those ends and we focus on the means to the ends, it still doesn't work. They don't end up doing anything with isogenics because they didn't see how it was a real viable solution in their life. And now they're a customer for life, right? So you got to make sure that you become excellent in being entrepreneurial, solving another person's problems for a profit, all right? So what we want to do, the next step in the evolution of that is, we need to get clear on what my new I am is. Who is the person that I want to be? How does that look? What's the doorknob look like? What's the hinges look like? What's the front window look like? Does it have a bay window? Is it a Rambler style, or is it a Victorian style house? What color is it? What's the paneling look like on the outside? What's the carpet and the tile and the wood floors look like, right? We've got to clarify, what does our business look like? What is my I amness? What is my being going to look like? I am an isogenics associate. I am a 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, 10-star, 11-star, 12-star, 13-star, right? We've got to know what that ideal concept looks like in a physical form. And that's what we're doing here. We're taking the abstract and we're putting it into a physical form. But this is for you. You've evolved to this point. Remember, it starts out, how are you going to manifest that? Well, with customers and providing solutions. You see how that's the very next step after you're your ideal concept of yourself. The very next one is customers, because you're an entrepreneur and it takes transactions, it takes products moving, it takes compensation. And so the very next step has to be the customer. 85% of the $8 billion that Isagenix or whatever, is that what we're at? Like at almost 8 billion? 85% of that has come from customers, right? So that's the very next step. So how do you conceptualize your I amness, your beingness, who you're going to be on a day-to-day basis into a concrete form? Well, you got to have certain kinds of customers. Are those customers satisfied or unsatisfied? Are they passionate? You know, in business, what do they say? 25 to 30% of people, if they're passionate, if they're highly satisfied with the product that you're offering as a business. In the School of Business, I learned this early on from somebody that was training in Isagenix at a Super Saturday. If you have a product that people are highly satisfied with 25 to 30% of the time, that's a huge win. Like that's a company that's going to go on to become a multi-billion-dollar company, if they're satisfying their customers 25 to 30% of the time. Highly satisfied, okay? So what kind of customers do you have? You got to build that into a concrete image of what your business structure looks like. And so you got to be entrepreneurial. There's going to be a transaction. You're going to have customers that take on a certain persona, certain image that you hold in your mind for your business, for you personally. Not Malcolm's, not Willie's, not Dave's, your business, right? It's got to get up close and personal. So going back to this, don't mistake the means to the end for what you're, and I'm getting some background noise. If you guys want to make sure you're muted out. You got to make sure what's today's business consist of. It's providing solutions for people. That's what entrepreneurs do. They get paid a profit for providing solutions. All right. Some of you have, okay, so now we're in the stage, here we are on this Monday morning Zoom, learning how to take our lives to the next level with, you as on the inside, so on the outside, what you think about, you bring about. I think, therefore I am, right? So we're taking all of this to that highest level now with a certain template. We're not just talking about personal development now, we're about the practical application of that personal development. So we go over this in detail because you got to have clarity. You got to have that concept put into a concrete form. You got to have purpose. You got to have motivation, and you have to attract it. The great law of attraction, also known as the law of vibration. All right. So, and then we frame that up and we put it into this kind of prayer. Receive the blessing of the thing you desire. So that's what this is. This is one amazing prayer that's treasured up in your heart, and you're thinking about it all day long. You're holding that prayer in your heart all day long. So important right here. I want to jump to this piece right here. It's not eliminating the negatives. It's the constant inputting that that creates and builds the desire. This is where it takes an expenditure of force and where it's going to tire you out. It's going to wear you out. It's not eliminating. It's not thinking negative things. It's not engaging in the negative political things that are going on right now and avoiding those things. It's not that. It's the constant input. It's the constant inputting that creates and builds the desire, and doing that continually. You're taking energy here. So I found these little pictures real quick this morning. It's the continual energy, force, and power that you're putting out. That's this. You're putting out an energy, a force, and a power. And you have it very detailed. So what you're doing, instead of taking a very vague concept, something that's not quite real, it's still in that fantasy stage. remember, we want to take a fantasy and turn it into a theory. This is the theory. We're getting clear onto the theory now. We're turning it into a concept. Fantasy to theory, concept, very clear concept. And then we hold that. Remember those old pictures that you could take, and they were like negatives. They had the little cardboard around them, and like the little Viewmaster. It had the negative of the picture, and you would put it in front of the magnifying glass, and you could look through that thing. But there was also these projectors, and the projectors, you would put the negative in front of the projector with the light and the magnifier, and it would project it on the wall. And then you could put a different one in there. What you want to do, and I have this in a PowerPoint somewhere, I found an old image of that projector where you put the negative in front of the lens and then the light, and it puts it up on the wall, like a Viewmaster. I can't remember what it was called. It's called a certain type of machine back in the day. And that's what you want to do with this. But what most people do is they keep changing the picture. They keep changing the negative. And you can't do that. I'm here to tell you right now, the work that is required of you is holding that one picture in the forefront of the mind. Not just the picture of it and having the 3x5 cards in your pocket, but the feelings that go along with it. The feeling that that picture generates for you. So this template has to be like that projector. And the moment you change the picture is the moment that you're changing the energy and the force that has not yet been made a living thing yet. The word has not been made real yet. It has not become physical. So you're working with the intelligence. You're holding a picture in it. And we are the only living beings that can do that, being the offspring of God. We've inherited the same mental faculties that God has: imagination, intuition, will, perception, reason, memory, right? And we get to work with this stuff right here. Like the potter, gets to work with the clay, gets to mold it. But we're talking about on an intelligence level that responds to thoughts and feelings. And because you're not living that life yet, it has not been made real. It's only an idea right now, but it's a powerful idea. Remember, ideas are the most powerful thing we have. I love when Bob Proctor talks like that. It's like, say it again, say it again. He talks about ideas and how powerful they are, and he quotes different maxims from other great thinkers about the power of an idea that's held in the mind, that's either feared or revered, will begin to clothe itself. It will begin to clothe itself at once. But then what happens is we take that negative from in front of the lens and we put another one in there. And even if it's not a negative, if it's not something bad, like a negative in the way of it's not positive, it doesn't matter. You've changed the picture. You've changed the energy. You've changed the force. You changed the power. You changed the idea. You didn't change the idea. It's just not there anymore. And because it's not been made a living thing yet, it just goes back into this. But the moment you hold it and you feel and think about it, it starts to structure itself in a pattern plan, a blueprint. You hold it long enough, and it becomes a living thing. The thing you either fear or revere, whatever it is, you love it because you keep thinking about it every day. And yeah, you may not have been a conscious creator in what you've created now, but you've either made agreements with it, and you've allowed it only through ignorance. In this case, I don't believe it was through sloth. Remember, Sterling Sills said, it's either ignorance or sloth, why people don't move forward in life. Okay? So the thing that you fear or revere that has manifested itself is only because you've made agreements with it so consistently that you've given it the time to manifest itself in its physical counterpart. Mirror reflection. But now, being more consciously awake as a conscious creator, I'm getting some background noise, somebody's coughing. Can you guys, maybe I'll just mute everybody out if it keeps going. Again, it's not eliminating the negative. So does that make sense? All right, so some of you have very clearly seen this materialization to one degree or another from your template. Now, I don't know if you stopped because you're afraid of it, or because the work it demands, or because you didn't give it the credit where credit was due. You didn't make the correlations clearly enough. I'm giving you the opportunity right now to recommit, and don't be afraid of it. Or yeah, that was you that created that conversation that came out of nowhere, right? Out of nothing and out of no thing and no way, a way will be made. The law of attraction, from nothing and no way, a way will be made. Every single time when you hold the thing you either fear or revere. I would start revering this, whatever it is you put here, and realize, and that's why I say work in 30, 60, 90 days, because it does take a lot of work to hold that one picture in the forefront of your mind with feeling. That's the work to do. People say, no, it can't be that. That's too easy. No, it's not easy. And any of you that have been doing this, you know, to hold this image and just go back and like a hamster wheel, keep running this through your mind all day long with feeling. You know that that's not easy to do. In fact, it's the most difficult thing anybody will undertake to do. Not just because of the energy that it takes in and of itself, but because your environment is suggesting something else to you. But your environment is only the collapse of whatever you've agreed with. You start making new agreements, you start reevaluating and making new agreements. So what are one of the ways we can do that? Wallace Waddle says right here on the chapter on gratitude. Gratitude is one of the ways you do that. It's in our template right there. I'm so happy and grateful now that, whoops. Oh no, what did I do? I hit something. I'm so happy and grateful now that I am. Why is grateful in there? Because it's a principle. Gratitude alone can keep you looking toward the all and prevent you from falling into the error of thinking of the supply as limited. There are no people that want to do isogenics. There are no people that think healthy anymore. Everybody's always just wanting to be sick. You know, is that your thinking? Are you in a state of gratitude? So if you can create this state of gratitude around your template, that's the key. That's the win. Why? Because it prevents your mind and your thoughts and feelings from going to other images. You're half the battle's won, you guys, by doing and framing up this template. Now all you got to do is be grateful that it already is. Whatsoever things you pray for, believe that you receive them. If you receive them, how would you feel about it? Would you be in a state of gratitude? He's telling you right here, you could put the cart before the horse. You can in this case, and you must. You must put the cart before the horse. You must be grateful before you receive it. There is no other way of receiving it. That's why I talk about in the template, the identity right here. What comes first? Actually being a fourth level leader, and your environment is living proof of that, or you must first believe that you're a fourth level leader before your environment gets there. It's a statement of psychological fact that you must do that. In this case, you must put the cart before the horse. And most people are not taught to do that. Why? Because it keeps the image, it keeps the negative in front of the lens when you do that. The moment you fall into a state of ungratitude, being ungrateful, is the moment you switched the negatives. It's the moment you made an agreement with another picture. and you took the picture out. Isn't that, I mean, that's how I thought about it when I was doing it. If I wasn't thinking about the picture, I was thinking about something else, and I knew that that didn't serve me, at least not for 30, 60, 90 days until it starts to become a living thing. Once it becomes a living thing, it starts to take legs of its own. But you've got to continue to feed that positive picture, but you're now doing it pretty habitually after 30, 60, 90 days of not giving up. That's why we say, you know, listen to a certain audio for 30 days, 3 times a day, or at least once a day. And if you miss, go back to day 1 and start all over. Why? Because you're creating a habitual pattern. It starts to become a habitual way of thinking for you. That's what this is all about right here. So it starts to become, if somehow we could cause God to think pessimistically and negatively, the universe would go into chaos. It literally would, but it's not going to, because he habitually is able to maintain the image that he has of the universe. It's his universe. He created it. He's got to uphold it. All things are upheld by God, just like all things have been upheld by you in your life. Unconsciously, maybe as an asleep creator, but a conscious creator, the greatest thing that you can accomplish is to control your thoughts and feelings. That's the highest achievement you're capable of. It's the highest achievement that God's capable of. And he's doing it flawlessly in the way that I'm going to have to learn math someday. Someday I'm going to have to learn math. I'm going to have to understand geometry if I want to get to the level that God's at. Right now, I'm just like a little baby in the sandbox. I have my finger paints that I'm playing with right now. But I know that, you know, this life is not all there is. There's a greater plan of happiness that I have not seen nor ear heard. Well, it's starting to be heard to some degree. All right. So holding that negative, that picture in front of the lens. Lenny asked me, how often do you do it, Dave? The way you attract things, you must do it for several hours every morning. Like you must be really dedicated for a few hours every day to holding that image and those feelings that are tied to it. I said, Lenny, I try to find the times when I'm not doing it during the day, and I get back to doing it. Because if I'm not doing it, then I'm not doing it habitually yet on a subconscious level either. All right? So the work that it takes in the beginning is not the work it takes at the 90 days. And you must know that. And the little hiccups that happen, they just do. They just do. My mind is still finite, and so I don't understand all the hiccups and sometimes why it seems like my life is going backwards. But what do? What I know to do. I don't abandon that. I don't abandon the truths that were truthful one day, and because things get hard doesn't mean they're not true anymore. I don't abandon those truths. I don't do it perfectly, but I do it better than I used to do, and I know a lot more truths than I used to know. All right, so going back to Wallace Wattles, there is a law of gratitude, and it's absolutely necessary that you should observe the law. If you don't, you're not going to get it. If you don't observe the law, you're not going to get it. What's the law of gratitude? Well, if you want the things that you desire, hopefully you frame them up in the template. Remember I said I wrote notebooks full. I would just keep adding to it the things that I wanted to be grateful to in this way, because I knew it was absolutely necessary that I get a clear image of it. Okay? The law of gratitude is the natural principle that action and reaction are always equal. You don't get a result without an action. This is the highest action, and it is the most important action. Thinking is a behavior. It's the most important behavior there is. And most people need to be sent to timeout for their behavior. Action and reaction. The law of gratitude connected to a very clear image, very clear concept. What is that very clear concept? Okay, remember we said we're going to take the personal development and we're going to tie it to our isogenics business. I don't think anybody's ever done anything like this, where we take the means and the end and we tie them all together. The personal development along with. They are both essential. You getting out and calling people and talking to people and making connections, they're essential. What are you going to talk to them about? I don't know. You're going to be an entrepreneur. You're going to provide solutions. You're going to be a good detective. You're going to ask great questions. You're going to be a great listener. And then you're going to help, then you're going to share in some awesome way, some simple, awesome way, you're going to extend an invitation to the solution that you know. Well, that's a telomere issue. You know what a telomere is? Have you heard of Bill Andrews, John Anderson? Telomerase? Okay. So we've got to build the skills. What did he say here in the book on it's the principle of the thing? Remember, we're tying all of this together. He says right here, everyone has at least two, we sometimes give credit for greatness to chance, or those circumstances and influences that were in our heredity antedating our birth. We sometimes say that a person is a natural born salesman, or a natural born teacher, or a natural born golfer. Everyone has at least two personalities, the one he was born with and the one he acquires after he is born. It is the acquired personality that we use in becoming a successful teacher, businessman, scientist, or husband or wife. The principal ingredient in all of these successes is the element of being wise in what we do. In being wise in what we do. Just as nothing is born fully grown, so no one begins his life with a head full of knowledge or muscles filled with skills and self-control, or a nervous system with stability. We learn how to be good husbands and bank presidents just as we learn to be expert basketball players, golfers, and skaters. Each of us begins his life with great possibilities, and where we go from there is up to us. But where we go from there depends on what getting we've got, what understanding. In all thy getting, get understanding, get wisdom. All right? So these truths that we learn, we internalize them, they become a part of our value, they become things that are important to us, they give us clarity, purpose to life, and motivation. And understanding, oh, I got to set goals. But most people set goals the wrong way. They put it as something outside of them. They never internalize the goal as being them. And they're not going to be it. They're not going to get it until they're being it. Some people fall into it because they fall in love with the idea of the success of their business. And they hold on to that image. And what happens? They attract it. They attract it because they maintain that state of gratitude and excitement and enthusiasm until it manifests itself. But they didn't manifest itself. It was a greater power that was instituted because of the way they were conducting their behavior. Every time. You can't separate it, whether you know it or you don't know it. It doesn't matter. You're not going to get this without these principles that you're internalizing now around thinking. The law of gratitude is a natural principle that action and reaction are always equal. They are always equal and in opposite directions. The grateful outreaching of your mind and thankful praise to the Supreme is a liberation or expenditure of force. It's a power, the power of an idea that is held in the mind. Either feared or revered, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient form available, something along those lines. It follows the natural patterns that are already in society. That's why they look like coincidences. It cannot fail to reach that to which it is addressed. You can't stop it. You're addressing to this stuff nonstop. This stuff right here, you're addressing it. Most people have done it in a hamster wheel. And so the thing that they've been hamster wheeling is their physical environment. But it can't fail to reach this. It's a part of, it's in and through us. It's in the inner spaces of the universe. And a thought held in it produces the thing that is held by the thought, okay? So the grateful outreaching of your mind and thankful praise to the Supreme is a liberation or expenditure of force. It cannot fail to reach that to which it is addressed. And the reaction is an instantaneous movement towards you. It begins at once, you guys. It may not seem like it's coming, and I know that we're an instant gratification society, but just know that at once it does. And some of you have seen the materialization happen very quickly. But then something negative happens, something that isn't in alignment with your template, and you abandon the greatest power you have. Draw nigh unto God, and he will draw nigh unto you. That is a statement of psychological truth. And if your gratitude is strong and constant, not if your gratitude is strong and every once in a while. No, see, when I read this, I'm taking what's in the book and I'm learning how to take what's in the book and put it in me. And right here, it says constant. Right? The reaction is formless substance will be strong and continuous. Okay, I'm getting some background noise. Can somebody see who's walking around? I'm going to open this up in just a sec to, I'm going to mute this out. Those little things just throw me off, you guys. All right, so, and if your gratitude is strong, ooh, there's the challenge, Dave. What that says to me is, Dave, are you up for the challenge? Are you up for it? To hold it strong and constant, there it is again, constant. And if your gratitude is strong and constant, the reaction in formless substance will be strong and continuous. That's the great secret of life that I've learned on how to go from one magnificent win to the next. And I didn't abandon it. I'll never abandon it. Whether I'm highly motivated to hold a new image in front of my mind, because every time I hold a new image, it challenges me, just like the very first time I learned this and applied it. The motivation's got to stay up there. So I was highly motivated. So let's go back to, the business of things, being an entrepreneur. I was highly motivated to make these things work for me because I wanted dinner and a movie. I wanted new clothes for my kids. And I understood the value of a cycle now. I understood 300 and 600. That doesn't happen overnight. And that doesn't happen with 2 or 3 people. I've got to get a lot of products moving through my organization. A lot of products got to be moving in order to get that 300 and 600 to happen enough times for me to go to dinner and a movie, be able to buy my kids new clothes, be able to stay in a hotel rather than my parents' house when going on vacation, wanting to drive the car that I wanted to drive. That took a lot of cycles, a lot of 300 and 600s. So now I've got to frame up what is the actions that I've got to do. Well, I got to start talking to people. I got to start doing presentations at night after work in people's homes. How do I do that? I started inviting myself into people's homes. How do I do that? I start making connections with people. When I make the connections with people, I find out what solution are they looking for when it comes to their health. What solution are they looking for when it comes to their health? For me, leading with the products is, some people say, well, I lead with whatever solution they're looking for. If they're looking for money, I don't lead with the compensation plan. Me, personally, I always lead with the products. It might go very quickly to the compensation plan, but I lead with the products because even though that person may want more money, the way they're going to get it is not by getting other people to commit to a business. They're going to get the money that they want That's their motivating factor by helping to create solutions for customers. You guys get that? I've always led with the products. The products is the business. The products is the business for the person who wants more money, but they can't go to the means to the end with other people. They've got to understand the value of being entrepreneurial and providing a solution for people. And making the money is not passive residual in and of itself. Making the money and getting cycles is not passive residual. That's the result of something that is passive residual, a consumable product that people keep ordering over and over. So even their business and the money they want, you can't share that. That's not what creates the passive residual income. It's a result of something. So even if somebody wants the money, the only way they're going to get it is by creating passive residual, creating customers who are looking for a solution. All right. So again, this goes back though to what he said about it involves it is a perception not only of the best ends, but also of the best means. And I know that the best means is our product for the person who wants to make more money. And unless they get that, they won't do it. They're not going to be successful with it. They got to fall in love with these products. So, all right. And if your gratitude is strong and constant, the reaction in formless substance will be strong and continuous. The movement of the thing you want will be always towards you. Will be always towards you. Notice the grateful attitude that Jesus took, how he always seemed to be saying, I thank thee, Father, that thou hearest me. You cannot exercise much power without gratitude, for it is gratitude that keeps you connected with power. My finite mind does not know how this, in all of its glory and detail, became this. I just know that it does. Just like when you get in the car, you may not know all the inner workings of the engine, of a combustion engine, but you can turn the key on and get the results that you want. You may not know how the car works, but you use the car and you do it over and over correctly. I don't know in all of its detail how this had become this. I just know that it did. You call me crazy, but I'm living the fairy tale dream life in reality. And I'll tell you right now, it's because I know this became this because I played a part in it, and it was an essential part. And if I neglected my duty in that part, it wouldn't become this. That much I know. Before God, angels, and all of you, that is my testimony. All right. Gratitude's a great way of being able to stay connected to that negative. But again, remember, it's got to stay constant. It's got to be clear. Can't be vague. All right, let's open this up. Any thoughts? Let me mute all and allow you to unmute yourself. Okay, you should be able to unmute yourself. Anybody want to share?
Hey, Dave, that when you read about gratitude, Wallace Wattles is the best source of affirmations. If you just change the wording a little bit. And so I took that sentence and converted it to my evening gratitude is strong and constant. The reaction in formless substance will be strong and continuous. The movement of things I want is always towards me. I get the best affirmations from Wallace Wattles because he's so precise in his words. And they make fantastic affirmations. In fact, he has pages of affirmations in his different books. And they're hard to find, but he has whole pages of affirmations, and they're just fantastic.
Yeah, it's such a good point. I mean, regardless, and we can train ourselves. I read in this book from Sills about training. We're training ourselves to behave a certain way. And regardless of the situation or circumstances, and I'm talking about in life in general, regardless of the situation or circumstances, get in the habit of maintaining a feeling of gratitude, regardless of what it is. All of the stuff that's going on in the world right now, I found a way to be grateful and to look forward with an eye of progress, positivity, advancement, becoming. Wallace Wattles or Charles Hannell, I can't remember, he says, look at people and the world as always becoming, regardless. It's always in a state of becoming. That's why I came up with, the world's not going in hell in a handbasket. God's the ultimate power. He's taking the world right to where he wants it to go. Well, I visualize where it's going in my head when I say that. And the reason I can say that is because that's what I do. Because I've gotten in the habit. I could be in the most direst of circumstances, but I've created a habit of maintaining gratitude. And then a will and a intestinal fortitude to get things done, not wait around, right? All right, anybody else? Thanks, Malcolm.
Me, Melissa. I'm here.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning. Love that, Malcolm. I've got my book and underlining it right there and working on my affirmations as well. But I love that you say, mental muscle. Well, we do have to practice to get that strong and consistent. It needs to be exercise. That's the only way we're going to get strong in gratitude. And I just have been on the, exercise of being grateful on it, and just in the day-to-day that, that's how, so you begin to default to gratitude. Like, I just broke a dish. Well, I'm so happy and grateful that dish broke. I don't need it. I have space in my cupboard and for something else better.
Let me just interject right there, because that's there's a powerful piece right here. You guys, I'm just going to say this because it's a great teaching point that you just presented for us, Melissa. I wouldn't say I'm grateful that plate broke. What would I do? What do you guys think I would do in that moment? What would be the most powerful thing that I could do so that I'm living my fairy tale dream life? In that situation right there where the dish just broke.
Pick it up.
Get the broom up.
Yeah, you're going to pick it up, but what would I do? Where would my mind go? Because remember, thinking is the most important behavior. I'm not talking about a physical behavior here. I'm talking about the thinking behavior. Yeah, I'll pick it up, but that's not the most important behavior.
If I were to break a dish, I would say, thank God, I'm so happy and grateful I didn't hurt myself and no one else did either. That's kind of where I'd go.
Okay, that's not bad, but what's something even better?
What would you like instead?
Okay, because of time, listen very closely. L and R, what does that mean?
Law of non-resistance.
Law of non-resistance. I wouldn't give any energy to the dish breaking. I wouldn't think anything about it. How would I do that? What would I think about? What would I be thinking about?
My 48-hour call-a-thon.
A new dish.
I would be thinking about this, you guys. I would be thinking about my fantasy as already being a fact. In the moment of that trial where something happened, it tried to get my focus off of it. Where my focus goes, that thing grows. So if I can keep my focus and my attitude and my feelings around my fantasy in harmony, and I didn't get distracted, I didn't squirrel. People get squirreled all day long.
Yeah.
And you might think, well, yeah, but it's a broken dish. Your willpower, which you have a will, you can will your mind to stay constant and focused on a certain thought and feeling in any circumstance. And that's what I did, you guys. Those are the things where I eliminated all distractions because I wanted it bad enough to do that. And my kids would say, Dad's doing it again. Because I wasn't hearing what they were saying, even though I was looking at them. Why? Not because I don't love them and because I didn't want to hear what they were saying, because what I wanted more for me and my family was taking precedence. And you got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. Find something you would die for and live for it. Break the chain. Yeah, people are going to get ignored. People are going to, whatever, I don't care. I'm going to LNR that, and I'm going to stay focused on the thing that I want until it materializes. Okay, so that, and again, I'm not, that's not a chastisement, Melissa.
No.
That is absolutely an amazing teaching point that we just had, because it's in those kind of circumstances that you have to maintain a will. So I'm always in the state of, you're mechanically sweeping up the dish while you're thinking about this. I did it all day long at work as a mechanic. I could fix the cars without thinking about them. You could do a lot of things that you do every day without thinking about them. You could wash yourself off in the shower while you're totally thinking about this. You could be brushing your teeth while you're totally thinking and feeling about this. You could be making your shake while you're totally thinking about this. And in order to break the chain, that's not a normal way of living. You're throwing a wrench into life. It's not a normal way of living. But in order to break the ball and chain and the environment that you currently live in, you must do that.
So not even acknowledge that happened. You're just staying on, I'm in this place.
You don't even acknowledge. You don't try to counter the bad feelings that thing, it didn't happen. People say, well, but that's living in a fantasy land. I did that with the bills. I did that with the negative comments. I would say I turned off the news so that I didn't have to use my willpower over the news, right? I just turned the news off. So yeah, it's what was my point there? Anyway, just that in order to break the ball and chain, it's not a normal way of living, but you're going to do things that other people won't so that you can do things that other people can't. Mm-hmm. Your business will start to materialize around the person that plays at that level. That's how I quit my job in 4.5 months. That's how I built a network marketing business that replaced my income with no warm market of networkers, because this had no other choice but to do this. You get that? It didn't have an option. It had no choice but to become the physical counterpart. And that's how I quit my job in 4.5 months. And when I hit the one success, it was the next one and the next one and the next one. Do you guys see how that became what it did for me in 4.5 months? This had to become this because my gratitude and my image was constant. And I just did it at a level. I was able to concentrate and focus on a level that most people won't. They can, but most people won't.
Your gratitude is strong and continuous.
Let me just say this. I understood the principle of the thing.
Right.
I understood the principle of the thing, why I must do that. I didn't do it because Dave's great and amazing. I did it because the principle said, you either do it or you don't. There's no mincing words of what he said right here. And if your gratitude is strong and constant, but what's my gratitude going to be around? It's going to be around my template that I've now framed up in a template for you guys. I didn't have that template when I started. I created the template through paragraphs in orderly fashion.
So you're not focused on the minutia of gratitude in your day. You're focused on the gratitude just about where you are.
Yeah, you could be grateful all day long and not build your business. You can have an attitude that's worth catching all day long and not build your business. That's why I said this piece here. It has to be continual. It's the constant inputting. It's not just avoiding negative thoughts and being a positive person. It's constant inputting of the image that creates and builds the desire. Not just good feelings build your business. They have to be very specific thoughts and feelings. And I framed that up. I did most of the work for you right there. Well, I didn't do most of the work for you, but I was able to do that for you. But most people we're getting more. I love this because even in doing the template, I know that most people don't really get it. They don't really get it. But we're now learning the principles together from Wallace Wattles. All I did was frame together an image through words, sentences, and paragraphs. And they became more and more orderly as that was being revealed to me. And so what I did to have happen in 4.5 months, people can get this handed to them. They could watch the template, but still not do the work because they don't get the principle. I did what I did. I ignored the dish breaking. I ignored the fact that I had to go in and be a mechanic every day. In my mind, I was not a mechanic anymore. I was an Isogenics millionaire. I was doing it full time while I was being a mechanic. And it was starting to become so real to me that I was getting stomach aches when I put my mechanic's uniform on. Physically, I started getting a stomach ache. Why? Because like the dish, I was doing that with everything. And that's how I replaced my income in 4.5 months. Think about that. No networkers to help me build. I'm going out and talking to people as an entrepreneur and building a business. I did the same thing with my automotive shop. I just didn't know what I was doing back then, principally based. How I built an automotive shop from no customers to not going bankrupt to building my Isogenics business. I followed the same principles, only this time I did it knowingly. Do you guys get that? Does that give you a greater resolve?
Wow.
Is that asking you to do more than what you've been doing with your template?
Yes.
I hope so. That's my enthusiasm right now for you.
I mean, Dave, when you think about it,
downright
Melissa,
mental warfare. Yeah.
when you're a mile offshore and the wind comes up and you realize suddenly you're going to be swimming 2 miles instead of 1 mile, what are your options?
Yes.
Okay, you can swim to shore.
Right.
You can hang on. You can hang on to your buoy until hope the Coast Guard comes.
Yeah. Yep. Right. Yeah.
You can drown.
Hope.
So the thing is with home-based business, you don't have the other two unacceptable options: hanging on to the buoy and hoping the Coast Guard rescues you, or drowning. Right. So in network marketing, I can make my calls. I've got my list. I can make my calls. Or I can load the dishwasher, or I can fold laundry, or I can.
How'd you know?
I can prepare. Yeah. I know. I'm avoiding making my calls when I'm cleaning the oven. When I'm experiencing joy cleaning the oven, I know I'm avoiding the pain of rejection. Okay, and so
yes.
if I'm making my calls and somebody says, Malcolm, you've been bugging me for 5 years. I want you to take me off your list. Take me out of your contact list, your 4,000 person contact list, and unfriend me on Facebook. And I don't want to hear from you ever again. Okay? I can take that personally, or I can say, wow, they're off my list. I'm free to find somebody else. Wow. You know, it's my decision.
Yeah.
I decide what's going to happen in my head.
And again, right there to drive this point home, I wouldn't think anything about that person. It's L&R.
Template.
The only way I would have thought about that person is they were like, yeah, tell me some more. Then we would have continued the conversation. The moment I hang up the phone, this is why I love the law of non-resistance. It's one of my favorite laws. It's a fun law, and it's a very empowering law. I would not think I remember doing expos, and I started out with people when they rejected me at the expo after I did my little flip chart thing. I'd say, well, when you go and eat your Pop-Tarts every morning and you have cancer, don't come running to me, right? And oh man, am I breaking the law of non-resistance right there? Did I change the negative in front of me? I totally changed the negative. You guys, I learned that person no longer exists to me, and I'm back on my template, thinking about my fantasy as an already accomplished fact. Constant and gratitude. Constant image and strong. I wouldn't even think to say something under my breath about a person I just talked to on the phone. That's the leveling up. What Malcolm said is good. We can go good, better, best, right? Just like the dish. People become like that. And do that with your customers that want to return their products. And as you do that, your environment is going to change. It can't help but start to bring to you the people who love the products, are passionate about the products, are wanting to know more about the business, start becoming successful with the business. Unless you break the law of non-resistance consistently, if you consistently obey the law of non-resistance and hold the image with gratitude, your fantasy with gratitude, after you just got done putting a bill in the drawer that says, this is past due. Be very careful. Watch how your mind is habitually going to want to break the law of non-resistance when it comes to you creating your dream life. What's your dream life? It's this right here. And watch how your mind is going to try to get you to self-betray. Catch it and get back over to here. So powerful. Your guys' business will grow as fast as mine did if you play on that level. And remember, it's the constant inputting. It's not just being a positive person and being in gratitude. That's why I don't really want people to read Rhonda Byrne's gratitude book. I do because I want them to know how to be in gratitude, but immediately stop wasting your time with being grateful that you have toothpaste.
Yeah.
Get into gratitude about your template. Let's get to the meat of the thing. Let's start building what you want, not just be a happy-go-lucky, positive person.
Yeah.
You guys get that?
Faith in the evidence we don't see. Faith in the evidence we don't see.
Can I say something, Dave?
Yeah.
So, you got it, Ken.
Who wanted to say something?
Awesome.
Oh, Victoria, are you getting emotional on us? Good.
Yeah, yes, she is.
So I was trying to figure this out this morning. I was listening to Tony Robbins, and he was saying, review it and feel it every day. And I was trying to figure out, okay, I get it, but Dave, why? And he said, you activate your reticular activating system. And so that kicks in and your brain starts to notice, like if you think the color yellow or whatever whatever your mind is on, your brain engages and notices all those pieces that can help you build your business. Your brain starts saying, flash, red flash, it's over here, and you start noticing. And all of these pieces, because you notice, because you're plugged in, because you're focused, they start coming together.
And it's even more powerful than that. There's a divine thing, a power that we don't know anything about that goes beyond now that you focus and see it. That's part of our language that we use to explain things, but there's some unexplainable, miraculous things that are happening on that quantum level, you guys. But what you're saying is absolutely true. You start to see things you didn't see before.
Right.
But then you start to attract as well and everything else.
Yes. And the thing is, I have visions. I can see future. Like this was years ago. I wanted to earn a trip to Fort Lauderdale. It was with a different company. It was jewelry. And I saw myself on the boat, and I knew I'd gotten the trip. I didn't know how. I was nowhere close, and I only had 60 days, not even 45 days. I knew somehow, some way I was getting on that boat. I didn't even care how. I knew it was real. It was going to happen. And I even called my upline, and she said, "What are you doing to get there?" And I said, "Well, you know, right now I'm celebrating because I already know I'm going to be on that boat. And yes, I'm going to get to work. I don't even know how, but I'm going to celebrate right now because I've seen it and I know it to be true."
Yes.
And then I figured it out, and it happened. But again, it was that strong vision, that belief. And the funny thing was, she said, "Well, you know, you don't even have a plan. You don't even know." And I said, "It doesn't matter. But I know I'm getting this trip, and because I know I'm getting this trip, I'm also going to earn this other trip, because you have to earn the other trip to get to the other," right? None of it mattered. I didn't care about the how at the moment because my belief was so strong.
Yeah. You guys, and imagine what kind of person you are when you live your life this way.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's not what you're going to accumulate. It's the person you're becoming
Mm-hmm.
in the journey of that accumulation. Think about the person that you will be when you can conduct your life and your behavior like this. You're not breaking the law of non-resistance. You set a goal, you accomplish it. You set another goal, you accomplish it. What kind of example, what kind of person? Not just for you and yourself, for people around you, the people you love, the people that are watching. I mean, this is where we're going in the world, right? And so a little investment in character and personality will return to you infinitely. You know, thank you for
I know,
sharing that.
Dave, I know, I have one really fast comment. I have one fast comment, Dave.
Really fast, I gotta cut this off real quick. I gotta jump on.
Okay, so I was running for an Isogenics contest trying to win a cruise, and I just barely missed it. I came in second place. Apparently Jimmy Smith was helping someone else get started and felt like I should have won that cruise. He called me and bought the cruise for me, my husband, my 2 boys. And I knew I was getting the cruise, but I had no way of knowing that Jimmy Smith would not only buy that cruise for me and my husband, but for my entire family. So I just
how it shows up, you just don't always know. Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, the how manifested itself. Diane, real quick, I know you wanted to share something. Diane, are you there? I think my internet's freezing up, you guys. All right. Awesome call this morning. Awesome Zoom. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you on the next one. Have an awesome day. See you tonight on the Zoom.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Bye, everyone. Make some comments on the Facebook page if you wanted to share something.